Welcome to Cinema Bites. Your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. Our movie starts with a woman named Janaya. And honestly, Janaya's luck is bad. She has a daughter named Arya, and this girl is sick and undergoing treatment, and every couple of days Janaya is taking her to the hospital. One time, while bathing her, Janaya was holding a small project Arya had made for school. She takes it from Arya and says, "Please, stay away from the water. I spent my hard-earned money on this and can't afford for it to get ruined." Arya tells her that her classmates make fun of her at school, and even her teacher is among those who mock her, saying that they have no money, which is why she doesn't buy food like her classmates. Arya gets upset but insists on going to school, and Janaya promises her that she'll get her salary and bring her lunch money like the other kids. When Janaya sees a poor man, she apologizes and says she has no money today, but when she sees him still looking at her, she feels sorry for him and gives him the last bit of change in her bag. The landlady yells at her saying, "Instead of tipping others, pay your overdue rent." Janaya apologizes and promises to pay the rent today, but asks the landlady to tell the noisy neighbor to turn off the music at night because her daughter can't sleep. The landlady says, "He pays rent, unlike you." Janaya leaves quietly, takes her daughter to school, and then goes to work, where everyone is giving her a hard time. Her manager also gets upset with her for being late, saying, "It's peak season, and the customers won't wait for you." She ignores him and goes to serve her first customer, who gives her a hard time because her card wasn't working. Janaya tells her, "That'll be $38, but they treat her like she's nothing. The manager tells her to clean up the glass, so she goes in, exhausted, and talks to her friend, who tries to comfort her and asks about her daughter. Janaya says Arya is getting her treatment and, despite her pride, refuses to take money from her friend who wants to help. Before she can get back to work, she gets a call from Arya's school saying, "There's a problem." She tells them she'll come and pay for Arya's lunch. Her manager comes in and yells at her again, but she apologizes, explaining she's talking to her daughter's school. He doesn't care and tells her to hang up and get back to work. She insists she has to go to her daughter, and at first he refuses, but when she says it's an emergency, he gives her exactly half an hour. When she says that's not enough, he yells, "That's all you get." She asks for her salary, but he says she hasn't worked enough to earn it yet. Janaya leaves, not wanting to go to her daughter without money, so she goes into the bank next to the supermarket where she works. She meets the bank manager and explains her card won't let her withdraw $40, even though she's sure there's $47 in her account. The manager tells her the card will soon be blocked because her balance is below the minimum and tells her to wait in line to withdraw money. Janaya, already late, leaves. When she arrives at school, she finds a woman from family services and sees Arya crying and calling for her. But Diana, the social worker, stops her, saying they're going to take Arya away. Janaya is shocked and tells the school she brought the lunch money, begging them to let Arya stay. Diana says it's not possible. They know Arya comes to school hungry. Janaya says she works 2 jobs, feeds Arya, gives her medicine, and follows the doctor's orders, begging them to let her keep her daughter. Diana says they also know Arya is often not clean. Janaya, heartbroken, tells them she bathes her daughter, but sometimes she has no gas for hot water and can't bathe her with cold water. Janaya, in desperation, says, "No one will care for her like I do." But unfortunately, no one cares about her feelings and decides to go back to work to prove she's responsible. But the road is very crowded. She's late, so she takes a shortcut and is confronted by a crazy guy who picks a fight with her. When Janaya tries to leave, he gets angrier, chases her with his car, and hits her. She loses control and goes off the road. She stops to calm herself, tries to start the car, but it won't start. Then she sees a police car nearby, and the man who hit her tells her, "I'm an officer and I'll make your life hell." The policewoman tells him to leave and says she'll handle it. The policewoman asks for Janaya's license and finds it's expired. Janaya begs, saying she'll get paid today and fix everything, but the policewoman says that's not possible and tells her to leave the car. Janaya pleads with her, saying she desperately needs the car but no one is willing to help. She's forced to leave and walk away. Janaya tries to explain to her boss that she had problems and was late against her will, but he doesn't want to hear it and fires her without mercy. When she says she needs the job, he tells her, "If you needed it, you wouldn't have spent 2 hours outside." She asks for her salary, but he says it's sent by mail. When she returns, finds her belongings thrown out in the street. She collapses, screaming, and her daughter's project, which she spent all her money on, is soaked by the rain. The landlady coldly tells her, "You deserve it. Next time, pay the rent like everyone else." Janaya breaks down, loses control, and keeps screaming, not aware of herself, taking her daughter's project and medicine. She goes to her manager and says, "I want my salary now." The manager tells her, "You will take it from the post office." But suddenly, A gang of thieves bursts in and threatens them to take the money. The manager gives them all the money from the safe, and the thief calls her by her name when he sees her name tag on her clothes. He tells her to quickly put the money in the bag with him. She tells him, "This is my daughter's bag, and it has her project in it." He gets angry and tries to grab it from her, so she hits him with all her strength to protect her daughter's project. The weapon falls from him, and she quickly grabs it and, without thinking, shoots the thief. The other thief runs away. The manager, who now wants to get rid of her, calls the police, reports a crime, and tells them that she was in on it with the thieves because they called her by name, and that she also killed one of them. She is shocked and keeps saying, "It wasn't me," and she even hits him too. Then she takes her salary check and goes to the bank. At the same time, Detective Raimondi was with her colleague at the market, watching the surveillance cameras, and they see everything that happened. Raimondi felt that Janaya was forced into a crime, and that's why she acted that way, unlike her colleague who saw her as a thief and a murderer. When they went to ask about her at the supermarket, her friend told them that she only saw her running out with a weapon, but insisted Janaya was very kind and would never hurt anyone, and that she could never believe she would kill someone. She told them Janaya was in a big crisis, going through very difficult circumstances with her daughter. When Raimondi told her colleague she felt Janaya was innocent, he replied, "How can an innocent person kill two people, take the thief's weapon and car, and run away with them?" Meanwhile, Janaya entered the bank and told the employee she wanted to cash the check. When the employee asked for her ID, she said she didn't have it. The employee told her she couldn't cash the check without it. Janaya insisted she really needed the money and reminded her that she had helped her many times before. The employee apologized, saying it was the system and she couldn't help her this time. Janaya became upset and, without realizing it, pulled out the weapon and told her, "I just want to give my daughter money for lunch." The employee panicked, sent a silent alarm, and the manager saw her and was surprised. When the police called about the alarm, the manager told them there was indeed someone robbing the bank. Things got worse when the manager saw the daughter's project and thought it was a bomb, so she panicked and told the police to hurry, saying she recognized the girl but couldn't remember her name. When she described her, they told her the name, and she remembered, yes, her name is Janaya. Meanwhile, the detectives arrived at Janaya's house, found her things scattered on the floor, and discovered she had been evicted from her apartment. They also saw her daughter's medication. The poor man there told them Janaya was very kind and always helped him, even though she herself needed help. Back at the bank, the employees were scared and gave her all the money. Janaya told the employee, "I don't want all this, just cash the check and let me go quickly." The manager came out and told security they needed to get everyone out. The police were still on the phone. When they told the people they had to leave, everyone got angry, saying they had been waiting since 10 in the morning and all started shouting that they wanted their money. Suddenly, Janaya called out to the manager, asking her to check why the employee wouldn't give her the money, insisting she just wanted her money. When the manager tried to calm her, Janaya got more upset and said, "Cash my check, let me get to my daughter quickly." Outside, things were chaotic, and the police surrounded the bank from all sides. The police chief arrived and asked for updates. Raimondi told him the criminal's name was Janaya. She was 42 years old and had no previous record. Her colleagues said they suspected she planned the supermarket robbery and then killed her manager. Raimondi replied that no money was stolen from the manager and said she felt Janaya was rattled by the thieves, lost her nerves, and killed the manager. At that moment, someone attacked Janaya and, against her will, a shot was fired into the air, but thankfully no one died. The man and the security guard got scared and ran outside quickly. When they were asked outside what happened, they told the truth. She hadn't shot at them or anything. Everyone in the bank was tense, and Janaya shouted at them, "Why are you doing this? All I want $40 so my daughter can have lunch." But she was shocked when she saw the news and realized the whole world was against her, calling her a murderer and a thief. When the police called the bank manager, they asked her to let them speak to Janaya. As soon as Janaya heard, "This is the chief," she quickly handed the phone to the manager and refused to talk to anyone. Outside, Raimondi tried to convince her chief to let her talk to Janaya, saying, "Let me try. We're both women." They called the bank again, and Raimondi managed to talk to her. Janaya asked in surprise, "Why are you all outside like this?" Raimondi replied, "We got a report that the bank was being robbed." Janaya told her, "No, you misunderstood." Raimondi asked her to tell her if everyone inside was okay, saying they heard gunshots. Janaya got upset and said it was the man who attacked her, not her. She explained all she wanted was to cash her check. Raimondi tried to calm her and asked her to put down the weapon and the bag, but Janaya refused, saying she wanted the $40 first. She kept talking to herself, saying she needed to go to her daughter, and that if she didn't, her friends and teacher would mock her for being poor. Raimondi told her to calm down and come out, promising to help her. Janaya screamed in pain, "No one helps me, I do everything myself." She broke down, screaming and crying. She said everything she did was for her daughter. How will my daughter live without me? She needs me with her for her treatment. Raimondi told her to calm down so they could understand each other and asked how many people were in the bank. Janaya said she didn't know and didn't want to know. After a while, the manager gave her the money, saying she knew it was all a misunderstanding. She handed her $40 and told her to give it to her daughter so she could eat. Janaya was afraid and said, "I'm sure she'll want you to give her the money yourself." The manager replied that the officer outside wouldn't allow her, and as soon as he saw her, he'd shoot her. Janaya was watching the news on TV, got scared, and told them to close the curtains on the doors. Outside, they managed to access the surveillance cameras. The people in the bank see the bag in her hand and make sure it's a bomb, and they call the bomb squad. That employee turns on her phone camera and goes live, all without anyone making a sound. When the old woman says she's tired and wants to sit, they bring her a chair and let her sit down. When she apologizes for the situation they're all in, of course, they're not pleased. The old man says to her, "You people want to steal easily without working. I'm a war veteran. I fought to protect you in the past." He says he won't stand there any longer and will leave, no matter what happens. The police are watching what's happening and are surprised she allowed them to leave. Janaya makes the manager close the door behind them. When the project lights and makes a noise, and Janaya lifts the bag onto the table, everyone panics, thinking the bomb is about to go off, but she doesn't understand that they're afraid of the bomb. She tells the manager, "I won't let him take my daughter. No one cares for her but me," and asks everyone to stay with her, assuring them she won't hurt them. Then she ends the project, and when she enters the manager's office, the employees suggest escaping now, but the old woman feels for Janaya and tells them she won't hurt anyone. They're surprised when she gathers chairs for them. Raymond makes sure Janaya isn't really a criminal, and that everything that happened was out of her control. When one of the police officers tells his boss they can easily storm the bank, he refuses, saying she has a bomb. They say she clearly isn't trained with weapons, so it must be a fake bomb. But Raymond asks, "How can we be sure?" and refuses the idea because she's worried about Janaya and keeps defending her, saying she's not a criminal and that people have said she's a very kind person. The negotiator asks for the release of the hostages, and someone does it. When they say they're calling the federal police, she gets angry and tells them she can solve the problem herself and calls Janaya again. At first, Janaya refuses to answer, but when the manager asks her for her daughter's sake, she agrees. No one knows she's live, and she asks Raymond, "Why are you standing outside? I told you I'm not robbing the bank. No matter how desperate I am, I've never stolen and never will, not even in this world. The weapon I have, I only took it because I was afraid the other thief would chase me." Everyone sees and hears her. Janaya continues, saying there's an officer out, wants to kill her, and she won't leave until he goes away. She tells them what he did to her on the way, and that the policewoman with him witnessed it and took her car's license even though she told her she didn't have money to renew it. She cries, saying she begged the policewoman to let her keep the car because her daughter gets sick suddenly and she needs to rush her to the hospital. But the officer didn't care, and no one in this world cares about people like her. Raymond is moved and tells her to come out and promises no one will hurt her. Janaya answers, "You all hurt me. None of you feel what I'm going through. Everything I did was just to get food for my daughter, nothing more, so she wouldn't be bullied by her classmates and teachers. I don't want anyone to bother her, not even my boss, who saw the thieves come in to rob him. Instead of thanking me for stopping them, he called the police and accused me of working with the thieves. He fired me, even though I told him I needed the job to get my daughter's medicine. No one has mercy in their hearts. My daughter's medicine is expensive and I barely manage to buy it. I work 2 jobs and can barely afford the medicine. I can't get her everything she needs, and after all that, they took her from me." Raymond tells her to come out and that she herself will help her. Janaya says, "I was evicted from my apartment this morning and have nowhere to live." She couldn't wait for 3 days, even though I told her my boss sends money by mail, but she didn't listen. "What will I tell my daughter now when she returns home? All this is too much for me." Raymond tells her she understands and sees herself in her. She tells her that her mother struggled like her, and they were also evicted in the middle of winter. She says she endured and stayed with her mother, always comforting her by hugging her and telling her she loved her. She continues, saying, "Surely your daughter loves you too and understands what you're doing for her." But they are surprised to find all this was live, and the chief gets angry and cuts the call. Raymond leaves, sad for Janaya. The police chief orders them to disable all the phones in the bank and to find out which officer Janaya is talking about. Inside the bank, a fight breaks out between Joe and the old woman because she sympathizes with Janaya, saying, "She's taken us hostage to get what she wants." But the old woman silences her with a few kind words, telling her, "People like you feel nothing for those around you. You were born to find everything ready for you. You've never struggled or suffered to understand those less fortunate than you." When the manager sees Janaya is cold, she tells her she has a jacket in her office and gives it to her. Janaya thanks her, saying it smells very nice, and learns that the manager's husband bought it for her. She also finds out the manager has 2 daughters, so Janaya holds the photo and says, "I've always wished to live in a house like this with my daughter. The house I lived in was smaller than your office." She tells her she once saw her in the bank with her daughter and noticed how much Janaya cared for her and was afraid for her. She begs her to stop what she's doing so she can return to her daughter and promises to help her when they get out. Janaya says she'll go to prison and asks the manager to take care of her daughter until she's released. The manager agrees but insists she won't leave until the officer goes away. After a while, the federal police arrive and hear Janaya and the others calling out from inside. When they go to see what's happening, they find people defending Janaya, saying she's a good mother who struggled despite her circumstances. Janaya sees people on TV chanting her name, including the man she helped, who is also defending her. The federal police are unhappy with the situation and tell the local police to leave. When the police chief says that's not possible because Janaya trusts Raymond, they mock him and his methods and tells him that they are the ones who will talk to her. And after a while in the bank, they start to feel that it's hot, and they find out that the air conditioners have been turned off on them. So Janaya laughs sarcastically and tells them, "They don't know that I actually tolerate this temperature." The old lady tells her that she must also know that she's better off than many others who don't even have a house or a place to sit. Janaya tells them she doesn't want all this to happen and that the situation got out of control against her will. She says that the last time she was in the hospital with her daughter, she felt that something inside her broke, and since then, she doesn't know how she's acting. Suddenly, the old lady gets sick, and Janaya finds out she has to take her medicine, so she asks the manager to let her out quickly. When Raymond told the manager not to go in again, she refused and said that Janaya wouldn't hurt anyone. Besides, she trusts her. When the police call the bank, Janaya answers, but she's shocked that it's not Raymond. She asks them if they've seen the officer or not, and when they ask her which officer, she says she wants to talk to Raymond. She gets angry and gives the phone to the manager. When her daughter's project starts working on its own, the manager gets scared and keeps begging the officer to give them Raymond. She says, "Let's finish this quickly," as she opens her backpack, and keeps telling Janaya to calm down for her daughter's sake, while the employees keep crying and begging Janaya not to do anything reckless, though she doesn't understand anything at all. After she hangs up, she tells them, "My daughter made this. It's my daughter's project that the school asked for. I spent a lot of money on it, and in the end, the landlady threw it in the street and it got rained on." They're all shocked and tell her they thought it was a bomb. Janaya tells them the police have to know it's not a bomb. She takes the old lady to the bathroom and writes on the glass that it's not a bomb, all secretly. Outside, the manager tells Janaya they can't tell the police because the bag is the only thing stopping them from storming the bank, and that's for her own good. "We'll tell them we're coming out, and you'll leave your bag here." Outside, the female officer goes to Raymond and tells her she's the one who wrote Janaya the ticket and tells her about the officer Janaya is asking for. Raymond goes to the officer, hits him, and tells him she knows what he did to her and orders him to leave the place. At this time, the manager keeps calling the police. As soon as Raymond and her team enter, they find the officer doesn't want to answer, so she insults him and answers herself. She talks to Janaya and tells her she got rid of the officer. Janaya asks her to send a picture first to make sure. When she asks the officer to turn on the phones to send the picture, he refuses, so she tells Janaya she'll handle it and send it to her. She asks Janaya, once she's sure it's him, to come out with everyone and raise her hands calmly and walk out with only her voice being heard. When she hangs up, she tells the officer to turn on the phones, but he still refuses and tells her the matter no longer concerns her. She gets angry, grabs her things, approaches the bank, keeps knocking, and calls for Janaya. The manager opens for her, and she takes her phone and asks her to ask Janaya if this is the right person. Janaya is happy when she finds out it's him and tells the employees to leave. When she tells the manager to leave with them, she refuses and says she'll stay with her until the end, assuring her she'll take care of her daughter until she gets out. But suddenly her phone works, and she finds her mother calling, telling her that the federal police are at her house and asking her what she did. Janaya says she didn't do anything and that all this is because she wanted to cash the check and buy her daughter food. But the real shock is when her mother tells her that her daughter got sick and she took her to the hospital and she died there. Janaya is shocked and goes blank, remembering herself leaving the hospital carrying an empty blanket. She was imagining she was carrying her daughter, and everything that happened at the beginning of the movie was just in her imagination. The call she got at work was from someone she owed money to, but she had such a big shock that she created a different reality for herself. When she went to the school, the principal told her they hadn't called her, but what we saw was just her imagination because her daughter never went with her, and her guilt for not being able to save her daughter is what made her act this way. She breaks down and collapses, and the manager takes her out to hand her over. She comes out completely surrendered, and they arrest her, and that's how the movie ends. Don't forget to tell me your opinion in the comments.